You know, you can have the smartest artificial intelligence algorithms in the entire world.
Right.
You can have literally billions of dollars in venture capital backing you up. You can have the most brilliant engineers on the planet. But if you want to build a major AI tech company today, you are fundamentally locked out of the market until the year 2028.
Which is just, I mean, it's a stunning reality check.
It really is. And the reason why is because the physical, like the glass and light nervous system that's actually required to run those algorithms, it is completely sold out.
Yeah, we spend so much time talking about code and software, and we just sort of forget that the cloud is, it's actually a physical place.
Exactly.
It's bound by the actual physical laws of manufacturing.
Right. So today, for this deep dive, we are looking at this massive kind of hidden bottleneck that is quietly dictating the entire future of technology. It's a phenomenon that people are starting to call the Photonics Supercycle.
The Photonics Supercycle, yeah.
And the data points we're unpacking today for you. So a handful of specific companies, this insatiable demand from the AI sector, and one specific order book that is just book solid for the next 4 years.
It really represents a total rewiring of the global tech economy.
It does. So, okay, let's unpack this. Because, you know, we hear the word photonics. I don't know about you, but it sounds like something straight out of Star Trek.
Oh, absolutely. It sounds like science fiction.
Right. But this is a very real, very physical transition that's happening literally right beneath our feet.
It is. And, you know, to really understand what a photonics supercycle is, we first have to look at the breaking point of our current infrastructure.
Okay, lay it out for us.
So, for decades, the digital world was basically built on copper wire. Data was transmitted by sending electrical impulses, so electrons, down these copper cables.
Right.
And for a long time, I mean, that was perfectly fine for sending an email or, you know, streaming a video, loading a web page.
Right. Copper was essentially the physical highway of the internet.
Exactly.
But what happens when you introduce artificial intelligence into that old infrastructure?
Yeah.
Because I want to try an analogy out here.
Okay, let's hear it.
Imagine you have this supercomputer brain, right? And it can read the entire Library of Congress in one single second.
Right, incredibly fast.
But to actually tell you the answer, it has to drink the ocean through a cocktail straw.
That is, yeah.
Copper wire is that cocktail straw.
That is a highly accurate way to visualize the bottleneck, honestly. Because when you try to push the massive amount of data required for modern AI through copper wire, you literally run headfirst into the laws of physics.
Like it just stops working.
Well, electrons moving through metal create friction, and, you know, friction creates heat.
Right.
And at the incredibly high frequencies that AI processors need to talk to one another, copper experiences this thing called the skin effect.
The skin effect.
Yeah, it's where the signal degrades massively over even very, very short distances. So if an AI chip tries to talk to another AI chip just like a few racks over using copper, the signal chokes. And the cables physically overheat. The copper literally cannot handle the traffic.
Oh, wow. It physically overheats. Which I guess brings us to photonics.
Exactly.
So if copper is the cocktail straw, photonics is, what, ripping out the straw and replacing it with a fire hose made of pure light?
That's it. And that fire hose has completely different physics. I mean, photonics is basically the science of using lasers to transmit data as pulses of light through these hair-thin strands of glass. Fiber optics.
Right, fiber optics. We've heard of that.
Yeah, but unlike electrons, photons don't interact with each other. They don't create that same electrical resistance or that heat.
So no melting cables.
Exactly. You can even shoot multiple different colors of light down the exact same microscopic glass fiber at the exact same time.
Wait, really? At the same time?
Yeah, it's a process called wavelength division multiplexing, and they won't interfere with each other at all. I mean, it is an almost incomprehensible leap in bandwidth.
I love that. Shooting different colors of light down the same tube simultaneously, it makes the capacity leap so clear.
That really changes the game.
But, okay, here is my pushback on this whole concept.
Yeah.
Because I look at this phrase in our notes, Photonics Supercycle, and honestly, alarm bells go off for me.
Sure, I get that.
Because we know the tech industry absolutely loves its buzzwords.
They do. They really do.
They love to take like a regular hardware upgrade cycle, slap the word mega or super on it, and just use it to juice their valuations.
Right, hype it up.
Exactly. So are we just hyping up basic data center upgrades here? I mean, replacing old cables with new cables happens all the time. Is a supercycle really structurally different from just a normal business boom?
It's a vital distinction to make, it really is. Because, as you said, tech marketing cries wolf constantly.
Right.
But in industrial economics, a supercycle is not a marketing term. It is a structural reset.
The structural reset. Okay.
Right. So a normal business cycle is cyclical, obviously. You buy a new smartphone, 3 years later the battery degrades, you buy a new one.
Yeah.
The demand goes up and down predictably based on replacement rates. But a supercycle happens when a massive, totally unforeseen catalyst forces an entire global industry to build a new foundation from scratch.
So we aren't just, like, replacing broken copper cables. We are realizing copper can literally never do the job again.
That is the core of it, yeah. I mean, we saw a commodities supercycle in the 2000s, right? When China rapidly urbanized.
Oh, right, consuming all that steel.
Exactly. Unprecedented amounts of the world's steel and copper. It wasn't just a temporary spike. It was a permanent change in global demand.
Wow.
And what we are seeing right now in tech is the assertion that the demand for light-based data transmission has broken out of all historical norms. We're abandoning the old baseline entirely.
Okay, so if light is the only way to move this massive amount of AI data without, melting the servers,
Right.
who actually knows how to bend light like this at scale? Because whoever is making the glass and the lasers basically holds the keys to the entire AI kingdom.
They absolutely do.
And when you dig into the supply chain, you quickly realize this entire supercycle rests on the shoulders of an American trio: Coherent, Lumentum, and Applied Optoelectronics, tickers DOHR, LITE, and AAOI.
Yeah, those three are at the absolute center of gravity for this whole transition.
But wait, help me understand this, because we constantly endlessly hear about the software side of AI.
Right, the algorithms.
Yeah. The media covers the chatbots, the massive language models. Why does the physical hardware of these three specific companies dictate what the software can actually do?
It's a great question.
Like, if I'm Microsoft or Google and I have billions in cash, why can't I just write a new line of code to solve the bottleneck? Or just throw $10 billion at a brand new startup to build a competitor to these three companies?
Well, because you cannot code your way out of a physical manufacturing mode. The technology these companies produce specifically, we're talking about optical transceivers.
Optical transceivers.
Right. It is astonishingly complex to manufacture them. So a transceiver is this device that sits at the edge of the AI chip. It takes the electrical signal from the processor, fires a microscopic laser to translate that signal into light, shoots it across the data center, and then another transceiver catches that light and turns it back into electricity.
Which, I mean, that sounds like incredibly delicate work.
Delicate. It borders on the impossible. You are aligning lasers with sub-micron precision.
Wait, submicron?
Yeah, we're talking about alignments smaller than a single bacterium. And you're coupling them into a glass fiber.
Oh, wow.
It requires growing these exotic crystal compounds, things like indium phosphide, not just your standard silicon.
Right.
It involves hermetic sealing and these incredibly complex analog manufacturing processes. I mean, this is not like stamping out millions of identical silicon chips in a traditional foundry.
It's totally different.
It requires decades of specialized institutional knowledge, literally artisanal level precision, and massive capital investment just to get the yield rates to a profitable level.
So it's more like high-end watchmaking crossed with quantum physics.
That's exactly.
You can't just spin up a factory overnight no matter how much money you have.
No. You could give a startup $10 billion tomorrow, and it would still take them 5 to 10 years just to figure out the manufacturing yields that companies like Lumentum and Coherent have already perfected.
That's wild.
Big tech companies are brilliant at software, sure, and they're brilliant at designing digital logic chips. But bending light through exotic materials, it requires a completely different mastery of physics.
So they're completely reliant on them.
Yeah, that deep, unbuyable manufacturing moat is exactly why the software revolution is entirely captive to the physical capabilities of this hardware trio.
That completely reframes the entire AI race for me. We aren't really watching a software race at all. We are watching a hardware land grab.
A physical land grab, yeah.
And here's where it gets really interesting for you listening, because the demand for these optical components isn't just like growing steadily.
No, not at all.
It is a violent vertical spike. The surge is coming entirely from the artificial intelligence sector. And to understand why, we have to look at how AI actually learns right.
Exactly. We need to fundamentally stop thinking about the AI sector merely as a software trend or like a fun app on your phone.
Right.
In reality, if we connect this to the bigger picture, the AI sector is an aggressive industrial consumer.
An industrial consumer, like an aluminum smelter or a power plant.
A perfect comparison. AI is a consumer of raw infrastructure. When a company trains a massive new large language model, they aren't just running a program on a single powerful computer.
No.
They are linking together tens of thousands of incredibly expensive graphics processing units, or GPUs, inside a facility that's the size of several football fields.
Right. Massive scale.
And during the training process, all of those tens of thousands of GPUs have to talk to each other constantly.
So they're sharing the math they're doing in real time.
Exactly. Now, in a traditional cloud data center, most of the data traffic moves north-south.
North-south.
Yeah.
Meaning what?
Meaning data moves from the server out to the internet, to the user's phone, and back, up and down.
Okay, got it.
But in an AI data center, the traffic is overwhelmingly east-west.
Ah, server to server.
Yes. The servers are constantly blasting petabytes of data back and forth to each other to solve these complex equations. If the connection between GPU number 1 and GPU number 10,000 is slow,
Yeah.
the entire billion-dollar cluster stalls, just waiting for the data to arrive.
The brain is paralyzed without the nervous system.
Yes, that's exactly it. The AI sector's appetite for this east-west data transfer is so vast and so insatiable that it has completely broken the traditional supply chains.
Wow.
It isn't a gradual evolution where they can just, wait for next year's product catalog. It is a frantic, immediate need to upgrade the digital nervous system right this second.
Before the copper melts.
Before the sheer heat and latency of the old copper infrastructure physically stops AI scaling in its tracks.
Okay, so we know the AI sector is acting like a ravenous industrial consumer. We know the physical infrastructure. The photonics is the critical bottleneck. And we know the specific trio of American companies that actually have the decades of expertise to build these transceivers.
Right.
But if you are listening to this, you might still be wondering, what does a supercycle actually look like on the ground? Just how frantic is this buying frenzy?
It's hard to visualize until you see the numbers.
Well, to prove the sheer scale of this, we look at Lumentum Holdings, ticker LITE.
Yeah.
According to recent market reports, Lumentum is experiencing such an aggressive surge in demand from the AI sector that its order pipeline is now fully booked through 2028.
Fully booked. Through 2028, it is a staggering timeline.
I had to read that multiple times to make sure it wasn't a typo.
I don't blame you.
I mean, in the technology world, 4 weeks is a long time. 4 months can see an entire product category just rise and fall. Think about how fast the AI landscape has changed in just the last 24 months.
It's completely different now.
So 4 years, that is practically an eternity. So I have to ask you, is this a sign of ultimate success, or is this a terrifying bottleneck for the industry?
That's the real question.
Because if I am an entrepreneur, right, and I just raised $100 million to build a new AI data center today, and Lumentum is sold out for the next 4 years, what does that mean for me? Am I just stuck?
What it means is you are encountering the brutal physical reality of the digital revolution.
Wow.
Let's break down the implications of a pipeline that is fully booked for 4 years. Because for Lumentum itself, obviously, it's the ultimate market validation.
Sure.
It represents guaranteed revenue, extreme visibility into their future earnings, and proof that their specific photonics technology is absolutely essential to human progress over the next decade.
Right, like if you're holding Lumentum stock, a 4-year backlog is a dream scenario.
Exactly. But for the broader tech ecosystem, a pipeline booked solid through 2028 is a terrifying systemic bottleneck. It proves that the supply of critical photonics hardware is highly inelastic. We established earlier that you can't simply build a new factory overnight due to the extreme complexity of aligning these lasers.
Right, the submicron alignments.
So the supply is effectively capped in the near term.
Which means the supercycle isn't just a prediction. It is a locked-in mathematical reality. The capacity is spoken for.
Yes.
Wait, who spoke for it? Like, if Lumentum sold out, someone bought all those lasers.
The major players did, the hyperscalers.
Yep.
The massive tech giants who have the capital to see this bottleneck coming and aggressively book orders years in advance. They have effectively bought up the entire future supply of the digital nervous system.
They bought the whole highway.
They recognize that the true barrier to entry in artificial intelligence isn't having the smartest engineers anymore. It isn't even having the most data. The real barrier to entry is having the physical lasers to connect your chips together.
So if I am that smaller player, right, or a mid-sized enterprise trying to compete. And I need those specific high-end Lumentum optical components to build a cluster that can compete with the giants. I am standing at the back of a line that literally doesn't move until the end of the decade.
You are. And by the time 2028 arrives, the hyperscalers who secured that hardware today will have already trained AI models that are 3 or 4 generations ahead of anything you could possibly build with copper wire or older technologies.
Why, it's insane.
Securing the photonic supply chain today is effectively securing market dominance for the next decade.
That is just mind-blowing. It really shifts your entire perspective on how the tech industry operates.
It really does.
Because we're so conditioned to think of tech as this frictionless, infinite space, right? Where anyone with a laptop and a good idea in a garage can topple a giant.
Right, the classic Silicon Valley myth.
But this Photonics Supercycle proves that the digital world is actually anchored in very real, very scarce physical materials.
The cloud is made of glass and light, and there's only so much glass and light to go around.
That is a perfect way to put it.
Wow.
So let's pull all of this together for you listening, because we have covered a massive amount of ground today.
We really have.
We started with this mysterious buzzword, the Photonics Supercycle. And we stripped away the hype to reveal a structural generational shift in how data actually moves.
Right.
We saw how the laws of physics, the heat, the friction, the literal melting point of copper have forced the entire industry to adopt a new digital nervous system made of pure light. And
we identified the key gatekeepers of this new era, that American trio of coherent Lumentum and applied optoelectronics.
Yes.
We explored their unbuyable manufacturing moats, that artisanal submicron precision required to build optical transceivers, and why big tech can't simply code their way out of this physical bottleneck.
Exactly. We traced the catalyst of this massive shift directly back to the artificial intelligence sector.
Yeah.
We stopped looking at AI as just software and started looking at it as a ravenous industrial consumer, a sector that requires tens of thousands of GPUs to constantly blast petabytes of data east-west across massive data centers, demanding a fiction-free, zero-latency environment that only light can provide.
And finally, we quantified the sheer, unprecedented scale of this frenzy. We looked at the reality of Lumentum's order book being fully booked through 2028.
Which is still hard to wrap my head around.
It proves that the supercycle is already locked in as a mathematical certainty, and that the supply of the future is highly inelastic.
It really is incredible. You start to realize that the blueprint for the complete physical rewiring of the global economy isn't hiding in some secret 500-page manifesto.
No.
It is playing out right now in the public order books of a few highly specialized hardware manufacturers.
It fundamentally changes how you analyze technology moving forward. You have to look past the software interfaces we interact with every day and pay very close attention to the invisible physical supply chains that actually make those interfaces possible.
Absolutely. Which brings me to one final thought I want to leave you with today. Something to mull over long after this deep dive ends.
Okay.
We have established that the physical, light-based infrastructure required to build the future of artificial intelligence is already bought and paid for. The hyperscalers have locked down the supply through 2028.
They have.
So the question is, if the picks and shovels of the AI gold rush are completely sold out, who actually gets to build the future? Are we entering an era where the winner of the global artificial intelligence race isn't determined by who writes the best algorithm tomorrow, but simply by whoever had the foresight and the billions of dollars to get their hardware orders in yesterday?
It's a completely different way to look at the technology landscape.
It really is. It means the future might already be decided, just sitting on a balance sheet, waiting to be manufactured. Thank you so much for joining us as we unpack this fascinating shift in the global infrastructure, and we look forward to going on another deep dive with you very soon.